All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Real quick, since we seem to have some issues and it's already 9:13, if anybody was available to actually log in about 10 minutes before the meeting so we can deal with technical issues that may happen at next meeting in January, that would be lovely. But thank everybody else for making time to come to today's meeting. Elisa has to leave early. We do have enough folks for a quorum. And we can, I think most of you guys know Danielle, but we can go and, if we're all right, probably skipping that part of the agenda, missing introductions, but we could have Danielle introduce herself. And we don't have anybody that signed up for public comment today. And yeah, that would be my song and dance. Danielle, do you feel comfortable introducing yourself and then taking it away?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all. I'm Danielle Crumrine, Executive Director at TREE Pittsburgh. Very happy to be here today to give you all an update on what's going on with the Canopy Alliance. And it might be the first time some of you have heard of the Canopy Alliance, which, you know, is why I requested to be here today, to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on. But Mayor Peduto established a tree planting goal along with the resiliency plan for the city, 1PGH, to plant 100,000 trees by 2032. And this was one of those goals. It was tucked away in the plan. And we said, you know, let's try to pull that goal out and gather the team and figure out how we can all work together to achieve it. Prior to pulling together this what we're calling an alliance, nobody was counting trees together. You know, every organization would plant trees. You know, Lisa and Michael would get counts from trees that are planted on public right-of-ways and things like that. But, you know, we may be doing private property work that's not being captured. And the primary organizations that are planting in the city, you have, of course, TREE Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy, the Western PA Conservancy, Allegheny Land Trust, the Student Conservation Association, and Land Force are two supporting organizations that may not be themselves raising funds and planting trees, but supporting the tree planting organization. So we knew that was an issue, just the counting side of things. So pulled the team together, and this was right around when the pandemic first hit. We had a big meeting scheduled at TREE Pittsburgh with a facilitator, city departments, nonprofit groups coming together to do a bit of a SWOT analysis to figure out, you know, what were those weaknesses, what were the opportunities, our strengths, our challenges. So we ended up doing that meeting virtually and had a series of planning meetings, and many people on this call were part of those meetings. At the end of the day, there were 5 committees formed, and these committees are policy, and Derek Dolphin from City Planning is co-chairing this committee with Matt Erb. We had the Data Committee, which is Michael Kelly and Jeff Bergman. We have the Tactics Committee, which is Lisa Chaffee and Jake Milofsky from TREE Pittsburgh. The Fundraising Committee is myself and Rebecca Kiernan. And then Rebecca is doing double duty, also co-chairing the Education and Communications Committee. So these 5 committees really represent those weaknesses and challenges and opportunities that were pulled out of the original planning meetings. So to give you a sense, the Policy Committee, you know, really looking at, and this is something the Shade Tree Commission already does, right? I mean, you all are charged with looking at tree policy and making recommendations. So really just adding to what discussions have already been had, this policy committee, and looking at, are there policies that are barriers to planting trees in the city, especially from the equity, if you look at this through the equity lens. You all know that in order to plant a street tree in the city, you have to have property owner permission. Is that a problem? Is that a barrier for folks who are renting to get street trees? So things along those lines. The Data Committee, thinking about what are the tools that we're using to gather data. The city has its own system, right, to record trees. But me as a homeowner, if I plant a tree in my yard, that's not going to go into the city system. We knew we needed something larger that was more encompassing. And ultimately, the team settled on TreeKeeper from Davie. And with grant dollars that we have at Tree Pittsburgh, we're able to get the subscription to that. It hasn't been implemented yet. It's still in the works. I think, Michael, you were helping to pull together the criteria that would be the protocols, the data collection protocols for that system. That's correct, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're putting together just like the basic formats.
Yeah. And even before that, one of the things we did early on was to try to figure out how many trees are being planted in the city every year. So to kind of get a baseline. And what we figured out that we were averaging around 5,000 trees a year. And the vast majority of those were being planted by Tree Pittsburgh. We need to be at 10,000 plus trees a year, right, in order to reach the 100,000 tree goal. So how do we double our efforts? So tactics was very important because, one of the challenges of tree planting organizations is figuring out where trees can go. And at any given moment, we might get a corporate funder who says, here's $10,000, can you plant trees in 30 days? So this committee is really working on building a bank of tree planting locations so that we all, as funding comes in, we have places to plant trees. So that's been a really important role. And also getting, together to talk about parks was a really important part of the work of this committee. We have lots of spaces to plant trees, but I think making sure that, planning work that's already been done, whether, Andrea and others are working on master plans for parks, how do we make sure that we're following those plans, meeting the desires of the community, and not just planting wherever we want to plant? So that was really important. Of course, we can't do any of this without money. So the fundraising committee, and that's kind of where I come in, along with Rebecca representing the city, and at times we've pulled in the grants office as well, looking at alternative funding opportunities. So one big one that we're pursuing right now is carbon offsets. Now, Allegheny Land Trust got the first project off the ground. You may have read about it in the newspaper earlier this year in Elizabeth Township. And they were able to fund the purchase of a property down there through carbon offset credits. And urban offset credits is really growing. There's an organization out in Seattle that is leading the charge on this called City Forest Credits. So we're working closely with them, bringing in Allegheny Land Trust knowledge and figuring out what properties, both public and private, we might be able to leverage for crediting. Finally, the Education and Communications Committee, they are right now looking at coordinating quarterly communication. So every quarter, all the organizations that are involved, maybe it's spotted lanternfly. So imagine if everybody, first quarter of next year is putting out information about spotted lanternfly. So it's just, leveraging the network to reach a broader audience. And they're also brainstorming right now about potential education partnerships. And this could be, how do we promote the tree tender program in more neighborhoods? Or how do we get more kids involved in summer camps, outdoor summer camps in the city? Things like that. Beyond that, we do have a website that I wanted to show you. The primary reason for creating this website is we do fundraising. We needed something to show the funding community. So I'm going to share my screen real quick here so you can see what it's looking like. And let me refresh it because there's a neat little ticker on the front there you could see. So last year, collectively, 5,362 trees were planted. And this, of course, was a very odd year with COVID. It was very challenging to get trees in the ground, especially without volunteers. So this number will increase this year. So by the end of the year, we'll have gathered everyone's information so that we can update this number, which should be more than doubled. So if you scroll around, you will see there's a page here that talks about fundraising and how corporations can support the efforts. And there's a PDF, a one-pager that they could download that lays it all out. There's also a place where anyone can get involved. So here you can enter in, if my Girl Scout troop, for example, wants to plant 20 trees somewhere, I could fill this out, become a friend of the Alliance, and my 20 trees will be counted in the total. So we wanted to make sure we, created a mechanism here where anybody could get involved. But I'd encourage you, and I'll drop this in the chat, I'll drop the link in the chat. I'll encourage you to take a look at it. It's still truly a work in process. We're happy to make adjustments. If you represent an organization that wants to get more deeply involved, I would encourage you to reach out for sure. With planting season underway, nobody has any extra time right now for these meetings, but the thinking is that starting in January, we'll be up and running again. For those of you who know Heather Sage, she is helping to facilitate the Alliance, helping to coordinate meetings when needed, facilitate meetings, keep notes, things like that. So it's been super helpful to have her assistance. But with that, I'll just take questions if you have any. I guess there's not really a chat, is there? I don't see one. I'll just send it out.
I have a question. Lisa, are you counting, and Michael, all the trees for the city? Or should I be entering through the website or emailing those to you guys? Because I want to make sure that our projects get captured as well. And I don't know that they have to date. And I could go back and also look. When did this start? 2020? Okay.
So we only can put in what we know about, and although we've reached out to other departments and not Public Works, but other agencies and such to get the information. I mean, forestry isn't planting. We don't really have funds for any kind of planting. What we just do is count permits, and our partner organizations are already being counted, and we are working on a website internally. So we've been working on it, trying to have a place where you can report all that information, and then we could pretty much, convey it to the Canopy Alliance, so it's not redundant. But
yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah,
is redundancy.
No. So I mean, everything that we have would be just reported to them. But I mean, you certainly could do it on your own, but it's still good to know, so we're not, just duplicating efforts. That's all.
So maybe then, yeah, we could just send it to you and Michael, and then kind of go that route. Okay.
That's the best route.
Thanks.
Because Domi's doing some stuff also, that we just recently came in. We got involved in it towards the end, kind of thing. So, but hopefully maybe going forward, we can get another memo out just asking folks to report in. I know Emily did some reporting on behalf of the URA. There was some plants that were recently done at the Housing Authority, but those were through Tree Pittsburgh. So there's a lot of, you got to be, make sure that we're all on the same page. So it's best probably to funnel those for us.
And is I assume the Parks Conservancy is represented as well, Danielle?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're the co-chair of the communications committee, but they had some staffing changes, so
sure.
We're still trying to figure out who the happy volunteer is over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely at the table.
Plus, for purposes of our Tree City USA recertification, we reach out to all the partner organizations to include all the plantings that that we're aware of, so that we can put those into our recertification request too. So there is a process, although it's not sort of a, chronological step kind of thing until we can get this website up and running, but we can talk about how you can report them as they happen, or each spring and each fall at the end of the planting season, which is what we do with our partners.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. And I think the ticker is really cool on there. I'm glad to see that. That's really neat to check out.
Yeah, and we are also counting trees that we distribute to city residents. So every season we distribute around 2,000 trees, and we calculate how many of those are in the city limits as well. So those are also going in there. What we're not really counting is tree loss, to figure out if there is any net gain to any of this. The MatterURB is working with Davie Resource Group to look at all the 2020 LIDAR tree canopy imagery. So we will have a lot of good information, hopefully early in 2022 to show where the losses are and the gains. A tree needs to grow about 15 feet tall before it shows up on the satellite imagery. So we should, we're 15 years old, right? So those trees that we've been planting early on, they should be showing up at this point. 9 Mile Run was a big gain in the last analysis. I was really excited to see that and share that with Upstream Pittsburgh and all the groups that were part of that restoration. And Somerset at Frick, the whole slag pile side. There was a lot of gain there, which was exciting. And that's it. Please feel free to reach out, truly, if you want to join one of these committees, you want to talk to me. We really want to start to be viewed as a resource for trees too. If you are talking to community organizations that want to plant, connect them to us. And if it's doesn't fit Tree Pittsburgh, we'll connect them to PPC or WPC or ALT, whoever makes the most sense. All right.
Thanks so much, Danielle. You are a wealth of knowledge and information. And it's very exciting to hear everything you guys have accomplished and are doing. Thank you.
And if anybody wants to plant trees this fall, we're doing a big one in Beachview on October 30th. We need volunteers. I'll send a sign up link around if you want to come out and get your hands dirty.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye. Thanks. All right, so moving right along, we have the approval of September minutes. And I have at the end of the agenda for the August minutes to be approved, but two things. Roy jumped off. He had a 9:30 meeting, so we no longer have a quorum. So we should probably table that till January's meeting, since we can't vote on it anyways. And then I just wanted to share real quick, we are transcribing today's meeting too. So obviously some things are going to be correct and some things will be incorrect, but if you also want, before Derek goes through everything, you can get the transcribed meeting minutes, FYI. So moving on to reports with Lisa. I want to take it away.
Sure, good morning. I just have to leave promptly right at 10:30. I can stay on. I don't need to leave early. I just need to leave promptly. But anyway, sure, I have some reports. So we're gearing up for our winter pruning season now. We're most of that work's going to be outsourced. Some of our larger contracts we have out now, and that hopefully that work will be through the middle of March, and that involves a lot of larger size oak trees pretty much, and London plane trees and some elm trees, things that we really can't do during the other months of the year. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll be able to take care of a lot of 311 requests that have come through finally. Just something to report on the operation side of things. We're experiencing some mechanical issues. One of our bucket trucks is down, and evidently the parts are sitting offshore in the Pacific Ocean in container ships, and it's a national issue, so we're really not sure when that's going to be back up and running. So we're trying to rent a bucket truck. So I can kind of keep you posted, but that's sort of going to keep us grounded, as far as only having one bucket crew available. And our second bucket truck, we have an issue with that. So I'm keeping fingers crossed that they're able to fix that. There's something with the computer there. So hopefully we'll get some good news today and we'll have the other second bucket truck up and running. But I think in the meantime, we might improvise and build a chip box on one of our dump trucks so that we have the capacity to, haul around a chipper and dump and get the wood debris off the site. So I'll keep you posted on that, but it's sort of kind of a bit frustrating at this moment. On a good note, though, we do have a climbing test scheduled for November, and we have 4 candidates and a few openings to fill yet for the 2021 budget. And Acting Director Hornstein has told me that there's 2 additional climbers that were approved for our 2022 budget. So I'm hoping by March of next year, we'll have 4 new pruners on, which will really help in our day-to-day operations if we get our bucket trucks up and running. So I apologize for that. My phones are going off here. The other thing that we're working on is we have the planting efforts, like Danielle had mentioned, are underway for the fall. So anybody that wants to participate in any tree plantings can go onto the Tree Pittsburgh's website or the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy's website. And there's all kinds of opportunities to do neighborhood plantings or park plantings. Last week, I was actually at the Housing Authority up in Northview Heights, and it was a rainy day, and folks were complaining about the rain, but I kept saying it was a perfect day for tree planting because it was a slow drizzle, and it was a really fun event despite, the raindrops. And I think, it's a good opportunity to get out there and plant some trees and just to participate in that process. Other than that, we are working on the holiday tree logistics. Believe it or not, we will be installing the tree on November 13th at the City Hall. Hopefully we'll have our bucket truck up and running by then. And I'm inviting everybody to come down to town for the light up, which will be Saturday, November 20th. They're switching things up again a little this year. Usually it's a Thursday evening before Thanksgiving, sort of like at 6 o'clock-ish type of thing. But I think they're going to have a larger event to try to get, visitors to come downtown. And it's going to be on the 20th of November, which is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And that's going to be a much larger event at City Hall in conjunction with all the other light up activities happening downtown. So that's exciting. We're also working on our recertification of the Arbor Day application for our Tree City. Derek and Michael have been working on that, gathering information and collecting information to our cartograph system of what we've done year to date and reporting out. I'll be using that information also to report out to the director so that they can update council during our budget hearings coming up. Also want to say, happy to report that we are still working with the federal government. As you know, the city's part of this 10 city Vanguard Cities program where we're trying to lobby heavy to get tree money in the infrastructure bill. And that looks like it may not, it was originally called the Trees Recovery Act, but I think what is going to happen now is that they're going to just put additional money into the agricultural, the farm bill that will funnel down through U.S. Forestry to state forestry, then down to the city. So we are still continually sending letters of support to the White House and to our elected officials there. The mayor's been doing that for months now. So fingers crossed, that if the money does come through, that Pittsburgh will be one of the top 10 cities to receive the funding since we're ready to go on that. And then I also want to say congratulations to the Point Breeze neighborhood. The Westinghouse Park became our second park arboretum here in the city of Pittsburgh, which is great news. So, there was a little celebration out there a few weeks ago, earlier in the month. It was actually on the Westinghouse's 175th birthday. So there was a birthday cake and we did some tree planting to commemorate the event. And there was a nice little showing of the public there supporting that effort. And Andrea and Marty at City Planning are working closely with the master planning process, which does include an arboretum component. So I'll be reporting out a little bit more on signage and things like that, which is pretty exciting. And other than that, just, our day-to-day kind of routine stuff. And we're just, helping out, supporting the planting efforts by, helping out with deliveries of trees or, you know, digging holes, that type of thing, whatever we can do. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure Mike has a lot to report on utility projects. There's a few things out there in motion. So I'll send it over to Michael to, you know, report on the utility stuff. But other than that, that's pretty much what I have. I also want to report too that I will be attending the Partners in Community Forestry Conference in Louisville, Kentucky in November. So I probably won't be attending that our meeting that day. So, okay. Go ahead, Mike.
Morning, everybody. Reporting it on for utilities, we have a bunch of different projects going around the city. We're spinning up to do the reforestation this coming spring on the Riverview Park sewer line repair. There was another sewer line failure in Riverview Park, which has been repaired at no loss of canopy. There were just a couple of sumac bushes in the area. Woods Run, they are doing their landslide restoration in that location, and they've installed the new slope stabilization, and they'll be planting, I think, 200 or 300 trees on that location. I don't have the numbers offhand. And this coming spring, they're going to be beginning their stormwater project out there, during which we will be fencing off large portions of Riverview Park's wooded areas and conducting an understory reseeding and replanting, which will serve as basically a reinforcement and assisted natural regeneration of the location. While it's technically not new canopy, it is important to recognize that, you know, when you have a stand of forest with absolutely no small trees in its understory, when that eventually does age out and die, we would have a big bald patch in the park. On top of those projects, we have the Southside Slope stormwater is going to be kicking off next in the next couple of months. We're in the final phases for that. Thomas and McPherson Boulevard is an ongoing project where we're working to improve tree protection as the project progresses. They're doing some large water retention, stormwater retention cells underneath the medians there. And we've been making incremental improvements to the tree protection and just working out best practices. Likewise, the removals have been conducted for the Kentucky Avenue Stormwater Project with the assistance of Duquesne Light to make sure that everything could be done safely. And we're working with People's Gas on a couple of new projects, including relocation of service lines in gas main replacement areas in order to cut down on root damage to trees. There's probably a couple more things that happened this month, but that's enough.
That sounds great. Congratulations on getting some of those trees protected and moving forward with all of the things that you guys are. Obviously, Tree Pittsburgh is not represented at today's meeting. Did Andrea or Brian W. want to mention any of their things? And I also just wanted to share that James Stitt had to jump off because he had an internal meeting. And if you have nothing to report, then we have nothing to report and we can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Nothing here.
Not much here, just a couple projects we're finally getting into construction. So we'll be starting Highland Park Super Playground, Chartiers Spray Park, and a number of playgrounds this fall that we're hoping to, well, Highland Park Super Playground in Chartiers will definitely have a number of trees that we're planting. And then we're also trying to utilize our the money that we received in the 2020 budget for tree planting for some of those playground projects.
That's great. I know the playground's looking wonderful at Phillips Park.
Oh, thanks.
All right, canopy impacts for our next item agenda. I feel like we've talked about that at the other ones, but if anybody else wanted to add anything under that, now is the time to add away.
I don't really have anything new to report other than what I reported, last time. There's not any major projects that, we have coming through, except for some of the stuff Michael had mentioned in the parks and stuff, but you all know about that. So, but I will keep you updated as things come about.
Thanks, Lisa. All right. Obviously, it is a big miss that Andrea is retired from or that Alicia is retired from the commission. So I'm going to assume we don't have a Shade Tree Trust Fund update, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. And I wanted to apologize too. My last 3 weeks at Chatham were a whirlwind and I didn't get to respond to a bunch of emails, but Lisa was nice enough to forward me some stuff today. So I will be responding to things that were sent out a couple of weeks ago. So forgive me for that. Under old business, I have August minutes, but like we said, that'll be tabled till November's meeting. And
Kristen,
excuse me?
Can I ask about, so the position kind of prescribed to the mayor's office, is there any timeline on when we'd have a new person filled into that position?
I can report on that. I can provide an update for you at the next meeting. That's something that's being considered right now with the budget year through the budget office. So I can get an update from my director and report back.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Lisa. And moving into new business, a bunch of folks were just reappointed to the Shade Tree Commission. So that would have been Jim Barry, who is not with us today, Jamie Holloway, Andrea Ketzel, Rebecca Kiernan, Brian Liniak, and myself. So you guys are stuck with us for a couple of more years, hopefully. Congratulations to everybody for that reappointment. And is there any other new business that anybody might like to bring up? All right, that would mean that this was the quickest meeting ever. And I appreciate all of you guys finding time in your day to attend this. I know it's not always the easiest thing to get away, and other folks always like to schedule meetings for me, so I'm sure they like to schedule meetings for you. Reach out through email, telephone, whatever it may be, your form of communication, and happy planting season.
Thanks, Chris.
Good question. Wait,
go ahead, Andrea.
Sorry. Do we meet in November and December? I can't remember. Someone said something about January, and I thought we.
That was me being confused. Okay. We do meet in November. It will be the week before Thanksgiving, since Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. Okay. So we'll send out a general reminder about that probably today, and then again, 2 weeks or so beforehand. And then I will send out the Zoom link in the way that Michael and Brian and other folks have suggested, so that hopefully there won't be any problems getting on. And, I really appreciate you guys bearing with me over this past year for everything.
Thanks, Kristen.
Anybody else have anything that they want to ask, share, high five? Lisa?
I can just say that I can work towards getting a report for the budget. That if I'm not able to attend, I can pass off to Michael in my absence to report on for the Shade Tree Trust Fund, or maybe I could get Marcel to attend. So we'll see.
Thank you. That's really wonderful. Good luck. I know everyone is busy. Michael?
Just a quick plug related to the Tree Canopy Alliance presentation that Danielle did. If you have ideas for places to plant trees, just feel free to email them either to the information that Danielle provided, or you can reach out to me directly. The data subcommittee is working with the tactics committee to put together a map that people will be able to view online. and hopefully someday submit online. But we have a lot of areas lined up, but no one knows the entire city and no one knows every area to put a tree. So the more help, the better.
Wonderful, thank you. And just looking for someone to say that we can adjourn this meeting.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Brian. Meeting is adjourned. Again, have a great, rest of your week, and happy Halloween to everybody. I hope you love tricks and treats as much as I do.